Going to be doing a little bit of a different version of the RR show today. Just going to be 2 long stories. The first one is going to be from, well, a sister podcast of ours. Check out Disturbed wherever you get your podcasts. We're going to be telling a story that they let us borrow, and then we're going to be diving into r/pro revenge. So it's going to be fun, going to be great, going to be a little bit spooky to kick things off. Let's do this episode of the RR show with me, Vince, right now. Our first story coming from r/LetsNotMeet, posted by user Somber Horses. An almost encounter at the park I still think about. This happened when I was about 12 or 13. For important context, I lived in an apartment complex that was 2 sets of rows, each row with 4 apartments. I lived in the apartment closest to the street of one row and had 2 cousins that lived in the apartment at the very end of the row in the back. I would hang out with them just about daily. We were very into soccer at the time, and we would walk to a park about 4 or 5 streets away, along with some of the neighborhood kids play soccer there. Now, I say neighborhood kids, but it's a big group, about 15 total, and the ages range from about 10 years old all the way to 17. One of my 2 cousins was the 17-year-old, which is why my parents allowed me to go without their supervision. So on this day, like usual, we made our way to the park. Some of us would talk, some of us would ride scooters or skateboards. I had my bike that day. We get to the park and we start playing. About halfway through our game, my parents drive by and they call to me from their car. They tell me that they're going to go to the store and to wait at the park for them. Okay, no big deal. I figure they must want to go somewhere else afterwards, and it's easier to pick me up from the park rather than for me to wait back at the house. Of course, this doesn't make sense because it's a 4-street distance, but at the same time, to my 12-year-old mind, it was perfectly logical. We keep playing for another hour. Then as we get closer to sunset, more and more kids start making their way back to their house. When my cousins wanted to leave, they asked me if I was ready, and I said that my parents told me to wait for them here. So they left, and I stayed behind. Eventually, it was just me. No big deal. I'm familiar with the neighborhood, and I have my bike and the energy of a 12-year-old, so I start riding my bike up and down the street, just killing time. At this point, it hasn't occurred to me that if my parents wanted me to wait for them at the park, they wouldn't want me to wait past sunset. Eventually, I got impatient and hungry, but not wanting to get grounded for disobeying my parents, I kept waiting. Except, instead of waiting at the park, I crossed the street and was waiting there. After a few minutes, a car drove up and stopped next to me. Nothing scary yet. There's a stop sign there, so I don't really pay it much mind. Except when it drove away. I realized the car looked weird. It was old and boxy, like an 80s car. But what stood out is that it looked spray-painted gray. It was definitely not real car paint or done by a professional. I don't know if someone who stole a car would be dumb enough to draw that much attention to it, or if the look was intentional. But you could tell it was spray-painted all over. Anyway, it drove away and I kept waiting, annoyed now. Then the car comes back from the other side of the street. I noticed it because it was hard to ignore at that point. But my survival instincts are still not kicking in. Maybe they were lost or just wanted to turn around without doing a U-turn. And since the park is a big square, going around it and coming back is easy enough to do. A few minutes go by, they drive up again. And again, stop at the stop sign. This time, I'm starting to get nervous. So I look at the car. 2 men are inside, very scruffy looking. Unkempt beards, unkempt hair, dirty faces, stains on their shirts. They look at me, they both smile at the same time. They look at each other, smile even bigger, in the creepiest smile I've ever seen someone do to this day. Then they drove away. Their smile creeped me out so much that I was now on high alert. In particular, I was watching the other side of the park where they would come from if they went around again like they did the first time. Sure enough, they did. This also means they were now on the same side of the street as me, so as soon as I saw the car, I jumped on my bike and rode as fast as I humanly could. I could hear one yelling something, but I honestly don't know what it was. I was too busy riding for my life. I could hear the car catching up, but I was too scared to even turn around. I somehow made it to my street and ran into the building, but I didn't want them seeing where I lived since my apartment would have been the one visible from the street, so I went back. My reasoning was if they followed me inside the building, they would see me knocking on the door and get me before anyone answered. Worth noting, if it wasn't obvious, this was before cell phones. I waited for what felt like hours, but was probably only 20 minutes or so before I got enough courage to make the short walk down the row of apartments to mine and tried the door. It was unlocked, so I went inside, and my parents were there sitting on the couch watching TV. They asked me how our game was, completely nonchalantly, and I questioned them and asked them why they didn't pick me up. They both looked confused. They asked me why they would tell me to wait there instead of home when it's a 4-street difference and I had my bike. Once they said that, it did make more sense. But to this day, I swear that they told me to wait there for them. They explained that when they drove up, they told me they were going to leave the door unlocked for me to get in case I got home before they did. In my excitement of the game, I must have completely misheard them. I simply went to my room after that, never telling them about it, because as a dumb kid, I knew if I said something, they wouldn't let me go play soccer anymore, and that was clearly more important than my physical well-being. I never saw those guys or that car ever again. I look back on it now, and it doesn't matter how fast I was pedaling my bike, they were in a car. So they should have caught up if they wanted to. So I don't know what their intentions were, if they were just having a laugh at my expense, if they were trying to scare me, or if they actually had something darker in mind. But I do think back on that day now and get chills every time I realized how much different my life would be right now if they had caught me. So to the two creepy men in that spray-painted car, let's not meet again. Our second and final story in this longer story episode will be from r/pro revenge. Coming from user scaredycat1122. My ex-mother-in-law sent her church friends to harass my daughters and I. I have now exposed her family to her church community, and she's getting shamed and shunned at church. My daughters have a strained relationship with my ex-husband's parents. My ex passed away in an accident last year, and we've had some major family drama since due his cheating and him leaving 2 boys born with his affair partner orphaned. She also died. Part of the drama has been my ex-in-laws trying to get custody of my daughters and them also trying to live with us. First one, we're going to court over. Second one will never happen. Where we live, there's a weekend market with fresh produce, eggs, meats, and other products straight from farmers. This week was extra special since it was my youngest birthday. Since her party is later this month, I decided to give her a budget and set her loose on the market to get whatever she wanted. Mostly chocolate and sweets. After an hour, I did start getting worried. And just before I called her, she called me. She was crying, saying some weird people have cornered her. I ran to her with my oldest daughter to find 6 older women berating my daughter for being un-Christian, for refusing to spend time with her paternal grandparents, for wanting to be a good big sister to her poor orphan baby brothers. My daughters are the ones that found out about my ex cheating and the babies, so they aren't fond of the kids. It's trauma, and they are working with a therapist. I got between the group and my daughter, telling my eldest to go pay for the stuff her sister had and to go to the car. Then I turned to the women, some who I knew from when we went to my ex-in-law's church, and ripped them a new one. They told me I was worst for refusing to obey my ex-in-laws like a good Christian wife. Barf. Eventually, the screaming turned too loud and we were all asked to leave the market. I met with my girls in the car, the women following me like a group of vultures. I managed to get in the car and drive away. After my girls went to bed, I got online to talk to another member of that church that I'm in good terms with. I told him about what had happened, and after he apologized. He told me what was going on. My ex-mother-in-law posted this massive story in the church's Facebook group about how horrible my daughters and I are, how we are leaving them homeless and penniless. They inherited my ex's personal bank account and his life insurance, and how my daughters don't even talk to them. She also accused us of being the reasons she lost her grandsons. The boys are now living with distant relatives of my ex-husband. Basically, it was a sob story worthy of a Hallmark movie. And of course, they were all getting the love and support from the more extremist members of their church. The church and its members are a bit annoying, especially around LGBTQ+ topics, but they have a small saving grace. They're incredibly strict about cheating. It's a big no-no, be it from a husband or a wife equally. Now, how did she get around blaming me about affair children without exposing the cheating? She claimed the other woman was our surrogate since I wasn't able to have more children, then said I didn't want the babies because they were boys, which is absolutely disgusting to be accused of. Well, I decided it was my time to clean up this mess, and since I was mid-divorce when my ex died, I had all the evidence needed. And since the divorce wasn't completed, I don't have any legal ramification for releasing all the evidence. I was off the next day and went to a print shop to get copies of all the delightful pictures of my ex cheating, his text conversations with his affair partner, the ones his parents confessing to his cheating, about getting support from them, and my ex-in-laws harassing me about the divorce, and my coup de grace, all the emails and text messages of them bullying my daughters about their baby brothers. In one of them, they call my daughters bastards and telling them it was their fault their father died since they told me about the affair and I began the divorce. This one was literally 2 days after my ex died. I paid extra for all this to be printed in beautiful high-quality paper. Then when I got home, I sat down for hours to make delightfully personalized binders. They look like little prayer song packets the church gives for everyone to sing hymns. The first picture when opening the binders is my ex and his side woman making out in our living room. Their faces are easy to discern, and the girl looks nothing like me. Different skin tones, hair color. Underneath I wrote ex-husband's name and affair girl's name's love story. I took them to the church before the service. There's a desk in the back with the songbooks for people that need or forget their own, and they never check them. The gossip mill was quick and harsh. The names my ex and his affair partner got called in the Facebook group were so bad, the pastor himself had to get involved to keep things relatively PG-13. People were angry at my ex-in-laws for their abuse to my daughters. But what made me laugh was that I still was in the wrong for the divorce. But it is understandable that I failed on my duties after the shock, and I possibly will one day return to the light, unlike my cheating husband and his Jezebel. They used another word I can't use here, I imagine. I got 2 apology letters in the mail for my girl and an invitation to join the church for support. As for my ex-in-laws, they got shamed into leaving the church. My ex-mother-in-law made a post on her wall about how alienated she feels and how no one cares for the elderly anymore. How she wished her great son was still alive. He would have taken care of her and her husband. With what money? I don't know, since I was the breadwinner. An explanation of the will. My ex-husband had a will that named his parents as beneficiaries. As far as I was aware, he had told me he had named our daughters, not them. I never pushed for me to be the beneficiary, as my own will has my daughters as the beneficiaries, not him. So thanks for being with us. The RR Show is a production of Evergreen Podcasts and Wessler Media. Now, if you'd be so kind, please follow or subscribe to our show wherever you get your podcasts. And if you're feeling extra nice, you might as well leave a 5-star review. But for more, visit the website, rrshow.com. That is rrshow.com. I'm your host, Vince, and we'll see you next time here on The RR Show.